Recording is on. Recording is on.
Cool. So it is the 6th of December 2022, and we are the Bitcoin Design Community, and this is a call with the Wallet Scrutiny team. This is call number 4. So yeah, let's just kick things off. We have Ed here, we have Christoph, and we have Leo as well. So yeah, Christoph is making a list of things to talk about today. He's made a list here of the Figma comments, the Discord conversation around the term verdict, as well as personas and user stories, which we thought might be nice to go through. Maybe I can talk very briefly about the usability testing that I would like to do on the website, just very briefly share the plan. Leo, is there anything you'd like to talk about in particular, or...
The audio's not... Oh, he's muted.
He's muted, yeah.
I guess we can just keep chatting until someone says something.
Yeah. Cool.
I think one interesting thing. So there were a lot of Figma comments. I don't know. I think we've had some various conversations here. Something about the mobile navigation. You know, I do. There were several Figma comments around concerns for mobile layouts, how some of these elements adjust and would work. So it would be good to know what the exact concerns are, and then we can just address them, right?
Yep, sounds good. Is that Figma file that we were working in earlier today?
Yeah, it's the same one. I mean, I think it was really just my work in progress where I was just screwing around, but maybe it becomes our project work file now. So okay, just very quickly, the Learning Bitcoin and Design call about pay joins that was supposed to start in 2 hours was just moved.
Oh, so what time was it moved?
Next week.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, Leo's gone.
Yeah, I was probably having some connection issues.
Yeah.
I'll have a look at some of the comments in Figma. I haven't really caught up on those.
Oh yeah, there's
Hey Leo, you're back. No, he's still having audio problems.
just put into screenshots here from actual mobile experience. So I think that works. That's already very close. Seems like it's more so the search box on desktop that's on the wallet pages that's a little bit off, just kind of dangling off to the side. But mobile, that's already a pretty good solution there. Yeah, but that's that's kind of the smaller usability stuff.
Yeah.
Which can probably just be adjusted via some CSS. some quicker fixes there.
Yeah, so this in the on the desktop version, you have the menu on the left, which looks really neat and tidy, and then it switches to being a vertical menu, a horizontal menu when it's on mobile.
No. So if you look at this, there are two variations of the sidebar navigation mocked up. There's one here with this sidebar, and then there's one here with this top bar. So
Ah,
this is
right.
the one that you see right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just becomes horizontally scrollable. So it's super common pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leo, is your audio working or oh, I'm afraid we can't hear you, Leo. No. Maybe jump out of Jitsi. That sometimes helps.
Put this in the screenshots.
Yeah, that top, that vertical menu looks quite tidy in the mock-up. Sorry, I haven't had a time. I haven't gone into the Figma files yet to look at them. These, well, I did, but I haven't gone back in again. But this looks great. This,
So Mo, how about we? You said you wanted. Oh, here we go.
have we got some
Yeah,
audio?
now,
Cool.
yes, now the Bluetooth is working with the cell phone, and yeah. Um, Sorry, guys. Now this works. I'll have
Okay.
another account to have the big screen to follow the presentation.
Perfect. Yeah. What do you want to start with, Christoph?
So Leo, thanks for going through the Figma file and leaving all those comments. I think that was all pretty good. Mo and I just chatted um, about the mobile search bar, and you're right. That looks already pretty good. It's more so. It's really just I think that it's hanging around here on desktop. That's a little bit off here. Um, do you want to go over some of those comments, or can we just keep that in comments and discuss some topics that are need to be discussed while we're all in the same chat room or video chat?
I like the asynchronous discussion about the details as we have done it in
Mhm.
your Figma. So that's certainly quite helpful. Um, if you have any questions about my comments there, of course, shoot. Um, Else, if I didn't answer to your comments, then I think there were one or two where I was not really sure how to approach it, or
Mhm.
some details like format the dates nicer. Yeah, that's something we were doing in many places, and unfortunately not yet in all places. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's certainly something to do.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think the let's see. So I feel like by going through some of this stuff, we've like the dates and maybe the search bar position. That's like cosmetic stuff, right? That we can just bundle up and kind of get done. It feels like that type of stuff is fairly easy to do asynchronously because I don't know it's fairly clear, right? You bring something up, you discuss it a little bit, and then you do it or you don't. The trickier ones were around trickier discussions were around the user experience altogether, how to present the information in different ways for different types of users. Is that something we want to continue with? So Mo and I earlier here we put together something that might help. So it's kind of the typical personas here, where we try to imagine a few different users, and we give them kind of a motivation and a background, the name and the face don't really matter so much. That's really just kind of for recognition. But we just kind of imagine a few different scenarios and people. Nice.
Oh no,
What's going on here?
what have I done?
And then that kind of helps lead some of the discussion. So when we discuss, for example, what should go on the homepage, we can pick out the two users that we imagine are most likely to use it, along with the 2, 3, 4 user stories that they're kind of looking for. And then we can use that to guide discussions and decisions. So Mo and I were not. I mean, you're the expert, you're the pro. This is your project. This is your baby. So I'm kind of wondering if you were to take a stab at some of these uh, users from your experience and also your kind of your what you have in mind, who you'd like to serve, and your expectations and whatnot. I'm curious what you would put in, what you would create, what you would put here.
Should we maybe give a bit of
Actually, I have not seen this before, so
yeah?
um, is that in the same Figma? Did you add it to the same Figma
Yeah, we
or?
just added it this afternoon, actually.
Yeah, literally like
Ah, okay, okay.
So, so generally, personas, it's great. They're great for sometimes they're used in marketing, but also for product design. And ideally, they're kind of rooted in some market research and some user research. But they can also be a really good tool to just kind of put down what you think the reality is. Especially when you have different people working on a project, because there might not be the same overlap. People might have very different ideas, and they become obvious when you write this type of stuff down. Um, for example, the kiddo one that I put in here, that's kind of the T. It's because I have a 12-year-old, and every 12-year-old these days has a phone, and they're usually hand-me-downs, and they're pretty savvy with tech in generally, but that's their only computer, and they might need that's why this is like a persona that I'm familiar with. So that's a person that I think of, and if they were to use the site, then the site wouldn't really have good information for them, because it basically highlights everything on the App Store as red and not reliable. Um, and the kid might lack the technical experience, or I don't know, experience or tech savviness to understand the word reproducible or so. So that's just one persona that I think of. And
we
then
Yeah,
we have the security researcher, we have the wallet developer, and for each of those we can kind of just roughly frame them, and then come up with some use cases and user stories. I'm curious what you would have in mind for those.
it's almost like
yeah,
Leo, it's like we're putting ourselves, if we're pretending to be a security expert and landing on Wallet Scrutiny website, and we're imagining the journey that the security expert will take when they're on Wallet Scrutiny. And then in another
right.
scenario, we're imagining that we're the normal end user, and we're landing on Wallet Scrutiny with a specific purpose, and we're wanting to experience this journey. So it's kind of like putting yourself a little bit in user shoes and imagining where they're going to click, what they're going to look for, what their purpose might be, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the problem of all scrutiny is that I see problems everywhere, and I would love to make everything red. And yes,
Yeah,
but this is kind of a nirvana fallacy that I just or I don't know if that's the right approach to advance the
yeah,
security of self custody of bitcoins.
yeah,
But I see a problem with using iPhone because there is zero transparency. Every iPhone wallet provider could steal all the funds of all the users. And to make that slightly green because he's the best in class in that iPhone wallet class, it doesn't feel fair to me. It's like pretending that they are the same like Android. But then again, on Android, there's so many moving parts around the Android app that could also steal the funds. To focus only on the wallet app is also not too fair because a hardware wallet on the other hand, would have much fewer moving parts and would be much more secure from that side. So should I make all the Android ones also red? And then there's people that say, no, hardware wallets as a category are problematic because they are designed to make you trust it with your bitcoins. So the provider might put a chip on it that he doesn't document, but that phones home your wallet backup. So there's issues everywhere, and I don't know what's the solution. I don't know what's the perfectly secure product. And I don't want everybody to use the same product because it would make the systemic risk of that product failing even worse. So it's really difficult, and that's why I want this expert opinions to have. I want those expert opinions on the product so that so I can say, okay, experts prefer that product or see issues with that product, and that could inform the user without wall scrutiny, the platform, giving a thumbs up for a certain product. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that that's a problem. For example, if let's say I go to Blue Wallet here and it's in the App Store, we can have something here that says notes on the App Store, notes on App Store security, and this will not show. These notes will be different if I pick a hardware wallet or if I pick a an Android, and then like there will be something here about how Apple controls it all and all of this stuff, and uh, then the user can choose um, what risks to take, because I mean that's the reality of life, right? Every time, I mean, I took my bike to a co-working space today and back in a kind of a busy traffic, right? If I was more risk averse, maybe I would take the bus, but I like riding my bike because it's healthy and whatnot. It's like a trade-off. And some people like to go skydiving and whatnot. So we always have trade-offs with everything, right? Or our health. Some people smoke and whatnot, even though they should know better. So I think the important thing is maybe that the site allows the users to understand the trade-offs that they're making in a very intuitive way that they can make intelligent decisions. Because I mean, you're very technical. I'm only kind of semi-technical. Um,
I'm the least technical one of the
yeah,
three that's on this call.
but I
So
mean, it's similar stuff with self-driving cars, right? Do you trust that self-driving car? And especially if you consider the trolley problem, like if the car has to decide whether to kill you or kill a bus load of children because it finds itself in that situation, it's going to kill you. Are you okay with that? I don't know. All kinds of abstract questions, right? But the thing is, it's kind of a risk trade-off, and you want to inform the users well so they can make the best decision that they can with the circumstances of today, of whatever they find themselves in.
But most people just want a simple solution. They want to get to a landing page and they want to see their favorite wallet there, and if it looks green, they don't dig any deeper. So any disclaimer, any there's actually an issue there if this and that happens, they don't get that far. Like all like most people don't get to the individual reviews. They only get to the landing page and they maybe get to the methodology.
Mm.
Although I don't know. I mean, I looked at the statistics and it was quite a lot of hits on the methodology page.
mhm.
I don't know if that's Bitcoin design community checking it out, or if that's the typical users.
Yeah,
Because it was like the 3 day statistics, and
yeah,
so that might be
Okay.
yeah.
So
influenced.
do you feel that wallet scrutiny has those three user groups? You know, the end user, the wallet security expert, the security expert, and then the what was the last one? The wallet.
Wallet provider.
Yeah.
Wallet providers care about their own products, so Just now, Andreas Schildbach, for example, contacted me if he can help with his wallet integration there.
Yeah.
And security experts are not really. I mean, hermanos, Don Cristian, por favor. Um, so the security experts are usually people that I would probably have to pay to look into stuff, unless I can get this expert opinion to a place where they want their opinion also be heard. Like I won't get generic security experts to look into Bitcoin wallets without paying them. But those that care specifically about Bitcoin wallets, they might chime in if the user experience is good enough for them, or if it gives them the reputation of having called out bad actors in the space
Yeah.
before everybody else or something. Yeah. So I think it's super important to give them the credit if they contribute to the project. And I
Yeah.
don't know if that's currently done well enough because yeah, you saw this LW. What is it? Oh, that's the author of the review there, but it's not very front and center who does the reviewing. It's
Mhm.
Wallet Scrutiny does the reviewing, and there's some five authors or two are of them are security experts, and so it's not really something that security experts are very drawn to yet.
So for now, does it feel good to kind of maybe focus just on the user journey of the end user for now? Just the normal end user.
That's what Wall Scrutiny is currently focused on, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope to get the researchers to join and chime in on the products because that would give the whole project legitimacy and it would really help to also confront the more controversial products that are on social media
Yeah.
talking badly about Wall Scrutiny. Um, like it's really just two of the products, but they have a million followers. So it's um, it's quite relevant, I think, to get more people on board to comment on security aspects of specific wallets.
And you've had some end users use the website. Like if we would call someone person X, what what is the what is the reason that they're landing on wallet scrutiny, the normal end user?
Oh, there's people that share the link to Wall Scrutiny on specific apps
Mm-hmm.
on Reddit or on Twitter. So if somebody recommends a wallet, then somebody might comment and, oh no, that wallet is closed source, stay away from it. And to back their claim, they point to Wall Scrutiny. So this happens. It's like 10, 15 people that do it quite excessively.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not yet kind of the industry standard to call out these aspects of wallets through wallet scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when people care about reproducibility, yes, they point to wallet scrutiny. When and yeah, wallet scrutiny comes up when discussion gets to talking about verdict relevant aspects of wallets. Yes.
So someone who's looking for a safe wallet is being recommended via Reddit, and then they're being recommended by, it's almost like a sort of evangelist for wallet scrutiny who's like, yeah, you can trust wallet scrutiny. They're going to be the person who's going to there. You can go to their website and they can give you good reviews. Okay. So this person that's coming in via that recommendation, like what sort of background do they have? The person who's clicking on that link on Reddit, is it like a
No, that's I mean that's in Bitcoin beginners and everywhere where people
yeah.
are just fascinated by some nice UI, and then some of the OGs says, "Oh, look, this is not so good. It might have a nice UI, but it's closed source or it's a custodial product and not your keys, not your Bitcoin. So
And what problems do you think that that beginner was facing?
Sorry, I think hold on. I think he just froze. You
Oh,
might
did
have
he
to
freeze?
wait a second.
Yeah, Leo's frozen. I'm just trying to build out one persona with Leo, and maybe we can do a user journey for that person. Um,
yeah, Darren.
Yeah. So back to that person, which is a Bitcoin beginner, which is going to Reddit, and then there's some evangelist for Bitcoin for wallet scrutiny on Reddit, and they're like, oh, actually, you should go to wallet scrutiny. So this Bitcoin beginner, what problems do you think that they are facing that's making them eventually go to wallet scrutiny to actually look at the reviews?
Yeah, the main problem is that there is 4,000 products out there, or
Yeah.
more than 4,000 products. So it's just a huge forest of stuff that all looks the same for the beginner. So when somebody embarks on the Bitcoin journey, they have no idea what is custodial. Usually, users think that Bitcoin is something you use on your bank or on your bank account, and then oh no, my bank doesn't have Bitcoin. How do I get these Bitcoins? And they assume it's something like a bank account. So they they don't realize at first that you can self custody. And when they hear self custody, they certainly don't understand that they really have self custody of the product. They just say, okay, this is some open source wallet, and probably the open sourciness is the important aspect, or they don't understand that self custody is actually something where there is no intermediary that can help them out if they lose their keys. So yeah, this
Okay.
is still something everybody goes through.
The problem is choice, actually. The problem is the too much of choice and not
And
understanding.
everybody advertises their product as a Bitcoin wallet. So all the exchanges say, "Oh, and we also have a wallet." No, it's not a wallet. It's by my definition, it's not a wallet. And I would
Mhm.
love to have some protected word that distinguishes wallets from accounts. Yeah, but we don't get to choose that. I think so. So we have to fight to inform people, to educate people, to distinguish what is self custody and yeah, yeah,
So this is a user who has never used, who doesn't really know anything about Bitcoin. First time trying out a wallet, they're looking for this type of information. So the so some information about custody, full featured wallet, and what features it supports. That's kind of important here. Um, so I think if you design a website for that type of person, then that's very different than you design one for a more experienced user who maybe already has, who is a bit tech savvy and maybe already has some experience with Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's a good point, Christoph.
Yeah, so that type of user, the term reproducible or so, App Store security, they might have other things to to figure out first, like the
right.
aspect about custody might be
Yeah.
important for
I
them.
I noticed looking through a lot of the comments in the research, people were using the word safe a lot. It seems like the word reproducibility is not something that's really understood. And they were tending to use the word safe. Is that kind of the words that question, so the question when people are posting on Reddit, they're like, I'm looking for a safe wallet. And then that wallet scrutiny person is kind of.
Safe is too complex. It can cover too many
Yeah,
things.
but that's the thing. But
Right?
that's kind of almost like in human user language. I know it's not specific enough.
The problem is, yes, we try to detect wallets that are not safe, but the problem is that even reproducible wallets could use that reproducibility to just be the good guy and get more users to then use the bigger user base to still scam the users. So the reproducibility is only as a requirement for transparency. It is not by itself giving any security. So a more secure wallet would require people to review what it is actually doing. So, for example, on hardware wallets, the reproducibility doesn't help you if the device itself doesn't tell you what you're installing. So there's many aspects that still make it easy for a provider to roll out a malicious update and evade being detected. So it's only transparency. It's not security in itself. And the
Transparent.
transparency
Yeah.
is important for a third party to judge on the security of a product.
Yeah, so it's you know Mo, it's like supply chain security stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, you order a hardware wallet from some Amazon store, and they
Mm-hmm.
buy it from the provider, manipulate it, repackage it,
Mm-hmm.
and then send it to you. And they smuggle different software on there, maybe, or firmware.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
once you start using your wallet, they send all their funds to themselves, right? So it's like
Right.
something in the process of from the source code to this application being on your phone, like something has been tampered with on the way to you.
Got you.
That is a very complex thing that nobody ever even thinks about. It's like
Right.
like it's
Yeah.
it's like I buy a toaster, I go to the store, I get the toaster, I pay money, I put toast in, I press the button, right? I don't think about who
Mm-mm.
built it and where it came from and all the individual parts in there,
Right.
right? So
Got
that
you.
is a tricky thing, and I'm wondering um, if there's something. It's almost, I mean, this is probably not a good idea, but if there's a way that you can kind of communicate to the visitor the kind of the supply chain about how
Yeah.
code makes it to you until you use it, and you say, here's kind of the code being developed, it's open source, that is awesome, then here is it being compiled, okay, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. Here it goes through an app store, and certain things happen here, and then it ends up on your device. And at each of those steps, certain things can happen. And there are some parts, like in the app store, there are black holes where we don't know what. It's not black holes. Some better term,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
black dark spots where we don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe with the Play Store, there's a little bit more transparency where we can kind of see what happens. Maybe
I
yeah, I
really,
don't know.
because
Maybe
this,
explaining something like that to people, or framing it this way, there might be something there.
I really like this idea from Christoph because this concept you've now explained it to me, and I'm on the project. So let's imagine that I'm the most non-technical user landing on wallet scrutiny. It would be nice, with what Christoph said, is to have something like a bit of a visual explaining to people the actual process and why the process is important, so that there's that education front and center, and then they know the why it's important, and then they will proceed to look through the reviews. What do you think about that, Leo?
I think I think the whole process is super complicated to explain, and I think the best would be to have like explainer videos where the supply chain issue is mentioned, where they say, okay, these are the parts that can go wrong. And that is the part that Wall Scrutiny is looking into. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe both is also an option, because some people are more, yeah, oh, it could be, yeah. As you say, if the process is very complex, it might be difficult to get it into a visual, but maybe you can, yeah, see what we can come up with. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you imagine that person sort of landing on the website, that beginner, the thing that's motivating them is they've never used a wallet before and they're looking to find, I use the word trustworthy one. Um, um, this is kind of like a user journey that you would say, like, this end user, which is a Bitcoin beginner, is landing on wallet scrutiny. Um, what would you say is the high level action, Leo, that that person wants to do when they land on wallet scrutiny? If you could simplify it in a like a couple words.
I think Wall Scrutiny should not be for end users, but it's the only group that's really being reached currently,
Yeah.
and and that's a huge problem. And I mean, we are always with the same argument that Wall Scrutiny is explaining some hard facts, and users interpret it in a wrong way. So they see, okay, these are green, so oh, I don't like any of those because I want 100 shit coins. And then they
Mhm.
go down the list until they find the product that has the 100 shit coins they want. And that makes them pick, like, yeah, I mean, I cannot evangelize everybody to go Bitcoin only with all scrutiny. And it's not even the purpose of the website, yeah. But but as well, I think it's super important to communicate the issues that we find, but maybe not to the end user, not to the kiddo. Yeah. So the kiddo might really be better off with a product that is not in the top category, even if he doesn't want 100 shit coins. Yeah.
Mhm.
So so it just gets too complicated, and it cannot just be boiled down into one visual that um, it's not that simple. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
that's okay. I mean, with tech, there are plenty of technology websites that are more, at least on a hobbyist level, that require certain knowledge. I mean, I'm sure you read, or it's like people who like fishing or baseball or whatever it is, or car fans, right? They have like there, there's like still millions of people that buy like the car magazines, and they can be really technical too. I think it's okay to say that, well, at least for now, maybe it changes in the future, but at least for now, we're going to kind of ignore for a little bit the person who just looks for a green color and moves on. Which actually, I was just looking at the website here, and the links are green.
Yeah.
No, but just
Yeah.
kidding. But that's okay. And I wanted to follow up too on something early. So it seems like you're okay with making things red. You're not okay with making things green, except for links.
Mm,
So it could be totally okay to say everything is just black and white. There is no color. You
yeah,
have
that's a
to
good one.
you have to read the text if you want to figure out what this means. And maybe the few that are reproducible, like the four or five or so, maybe they get. And I think you already have that on the website. Uh, you have this reproducible seal here. I think it's fine. Maybe that's a valid approach that can be taken here, where you just have to read. You're not going to get the
Yeah,
quick visual feedback.
that's a good idea from Christoph, actually. Make everything in black and white so it forces the user to read. How do you feel about that, Leo?
Well, black and white only is problem. To ban green from the website would be fine. I think some things really do deserve red, like when we identify fake wallets and
Yeah,
something like that. We could discuss what deserves a red, but yeah, to have a neutral color, yeah,
yeah,
would
exactly.
be
Instead
in
of
line.
Instead of you saying like everything should be red, like you just say 95% is basically neutral. And then you have the few that are green and the few that are red because they're very severely bad or severely good verdicts. And then everything in between, it's a little bit more mixed. The user just kind of has to engage and dig a little bit deeper. I mean, I'm just throwing out that's one option. It doesn't have to be that. It can be other things too. But I'm trying to figure out where we could kind of land with the direction, and then we can mock it up too. It's fairly easy to mock something up,
Yeah.
like this one here, which is the only color here is the wallet logo, basically.
Yeah. Keeps things very neutral and yeah.
Yeah, and then I didn't put in test results. I just wrote security considerations. Like there's a lot you can do with just picking different labels for things, just with the copy.
Yeah. So Leo, you kind of, if I'm understanding correctly, you kind of want that end user to first educate themselves. So that would be the goal of that visual or that video. First, educate themselves on why the reproducibility is important, because it's quite a difficult to understand concept. So maybe start with a little bit of education, whether that's a video or a visual, and then maybe then move into a grading system, which then keeps it's not green, not red, but a bit more neutral.
Yeah, I think it will be difficult to draw the line to say, okay, is the obfuscated code red? Is the which categories might be red? And I think fake and obfuscated would be the red categories.
Yeah,
Reproducibility, should it be green or should it also be neutral? Because it's not reviewed, it's just reviewable. Yeah. So yeah,
yeah. So keep things neutral so that the user is educating themselves as well. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
By the way, don't read this text here too much. I quickly generated that with this AI text generator, like explain code reproducibility or so. I'm sure that's not it's good
Okay.
enough for a quick mockup, but do not look too closely at it.
It will be interesting to visualize the code supply chain and getting that to a very simple, easy to understand way for that end user. So that'll be an interesting design challenge, I think.
yeah.
And I think if people complain about the website or so, that's a tricky thing. When you say everything is red, then people will be like, we can try as hard as we can never satisfy it, right? It's kind of unfair. The trick is then to be to be strict but still fair. So and that's tough. It's like a teacher in school, right? How do you and yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like the transparency thing is quite a big thing for you as well, Leo, is that everything is quite transparent. So trying to maybe build in that transparency somehow into the grading system. But
I think the idea to have the verdicts not in the judgmental colors
yeah,
is a very good thing because I try to be objective. I try with everything in wall scrutiny. I try to be objective as possible, and the red coding is quite yeah, as I said, judgmental. It's not something objective. It's not bad to be custodial. I mean, in my opinion, it is, but it is not for everybody the wrong tool. Yeah. So to change the color coding, then you could say, okay, then the sorting that like the reproducible is like the top category, and the whole methodology of okay, we try to figure out the potential to steal your funds. And yeah, custodial obviously has the potential to steal your funds. Just look at FTX. Yeah, is is designed towards reproducibility at this point. Yeah, but it it would be less controversial to not call people out for not being reproducible, um, or to at least not treat them as if they were bad actors by not using reproducibility.
Yeah.
So the red coding has to go for most cases where we don't want to blame them for doing what they're doing.
And that visualization of the code supply chain, where would we see that kind of on the page? Where do you guys know?
That would go into the methodology maybe, which is already quite long. I mean, you probably want those questions to be collapsed by default, so only when you click on it you
Yeah.
see the details and something like that. Uh, and supply chain is maybe not the right term. Like, what goes into your wallet security would be a broader schema. That's not only a supply chain. Supply chain is something important for hardware wallets,
Mhm.
where you have the chip factory, the assembly, the shipping to the distribution center, and at every stage, people could swap out some chips or swap out the whole device. And with software, there's other issues, but of course, when you have only software, then you also run it on a device. So yeah, who knows if Apple already has everything backdoored. Supposedly in China, the what is it? Huawei phones now actively delete documentation of the uprising there. So the government appears to have backdoors into the phones, and who knows who else, which other government might have those backdoors, and if they could get to your Bitcoin keys. So yeah, mentioning all those things would certainly be helpful to push people to be more secure, especially when they have bigger holdings.
Yeah. You were going
But
to say something, Crystal.
the, yeah,
Sorry for interrupting, Leo.
Now, Mo, to your question, I have no idea where it would go. We I don't even know if it would work right now. It's just an idea. We kind of have to,
Yeah.
put words, put pixels on the screen, and just kind of see
How
if there's
everything.
a way to make this intuitive. I can't predict it.
Gotcha. Yeah. But sounds good. I mean, we've come up with the with an idea to explore is visualizing that education part for that beginner user, which I think is a good one, and then maybe keeping the grading system as neutral as possible.
And actually, the other thing that we talked about was the beginner user in this case not being a complete newbie, but being kind of a hobbyist or somewhat interested, experienced, not the kiddo basically.
No.
And I think for someone who Leo, like you said, who just wants 100 shitcoins, there might be very little you can do. I think you kind of have to assume that um, that there are a whole bunch of people that just come across the site through some random link or some random Google search or whatever it is, and you're just not going to be able to help them. Um, but the main thing is to make sure maybe first to serve the people that are actually where there's hope. I guess
Yeah.
at least a little bit of hope.
I my goal is not so much to have the website as a um, very helpful tool for end users. My goal is more to have it as a tool that influencers use to back up their understanding of products
Mhm.
and And I hope that all those people that communicate about those wallets understand the risks. And my goal is more to educate influencers and to get to a common understanding in the industry that certain things are a risk, or that at least teams internally should have reproducibility, even if they are closed source. So the thing about reproducibility is that if there's a release manager and the rest of the team, then they might all agree that they want to have a self-custodial product. But as long as there's only one guy that presses the button that compiles the thing, then that guy could have his computer infected with some backdoor, and all the users lose all their money, and there's no way to stop that except for having the reproducibility on some other engineer's computer, even if it's closed source, and it has to be a team internal review. So this concept is not understood even by, I would say, most wallet providers. Yeah. So I don't know how to get to them. Maybe it has to be through the end users. If the end users care about those things, then the influencers will care. I think it should be the other way around. I had great hope that the endorsement by Spiral would help with that. That people would have a second look at wall scrutiny and care more about those methodologies and dangers talked about on the project. But in the end, I just hope to agree on an industry standard on those subjects. And the usability for the end user is not really any main focus for me. Yeah.
By influencers, would you also include, let's say, someone who hangs out here at a local meetup, talks to people, kind of like the local, the family influencer, the local community influencer?
I didn't think of those. I mean, I think of those that have millions of followers on Twitter
Mhm.
and that talk about open source. The more technical ones often talk about open source and the importance of open source, but they don't get to the issue of open source not being related to maybe the product they are installing
Mm.
and the whole chain of verifiability of what people are actually running on their devices. Can they trust their device? Is a Bitcoin wallet on a Windows computer actually a secure thing? Or yeah. So
Leo, I
I
have
don't
a question for you as well, because I'm planning to do some, just go through the whole user experience with a few more savvy technical users. Um, where do you think these people are hanging out? Like, where would you suggest I go to find these people? I mean, I already have some ideas, but I'm just asking you as well.
very technical users that you could introduce to wallet scrutiny.
Mm,
So people that are not yet already people that use and know wallet scrutiny.
yeah.
Maybe on GitHub, contributors to Bitcoin wallets.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Wallet scrutiny has a lot of links to those repositories in the open source and above categories.
So contributors to Bitcoin wallets. Okay. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I mean, good question because those are also the target audience for wallet scrutiny. So I'm opening issues with those wallets, and I try to. I mean, I don't evangelize wallet scrutiny to them. Yeah, I just tell them, hey, great, your product is open source, but I failed to reproduce it or I failed to compile it, and uh, and I link to wallet scrutiny there, but um, it's just one of some hundreds of issues for them, and they might find it fringe and never heard of what is reproducibility, and I'll look into it some other day and never come back to look into it. Yeah.
That sounds
Mm.
pretty
So
much like when you're filing issues about accessibility.
Yeah.
There are just some
yeah,
things
yeah,
that are invisible to people, or most people in a way. Don't want to totally generalize.
yeah, yeah. It is a fringe issue if it's not your issue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. But those are the things that require champions to kind of hold up the flag and kind of keep moving with it. But it's we're hitting the hour here. Um, so I have a list of things written down here to explore and to think about and to mock up. As before, like with the supply chain thing, like supply chain. I don't know if that's going to work, but it's something I'd like to look into, and I'll try to create some more visuals, and then we can continue the conversation via Figma comments or otherwise. Um, but that's for me. Like, how did you find this conversation useful? Do you feel like you have something to move forward with, or anything you want to do next? Or
I'll try to look into the remove the red verdicts.
Mhm.
And regarding the supply chain, I'm I'm having an issue with the hardware wallets there, but I don't want to open that topic right now. But yeah, I think it would help a lot of people to understand wallet scrutiny better if they would understand the supply chain, or because that's really the core what I'm looking at. Like, how does the user store their coins, and is there a way that we can stop bad things to happen there? And because the supply chain um, in the software deployment also, yeah, has several spots where it can go wrong. All those spots would warrant their own verdict. Like, oh, we cannot verify that the chip is the actual chip. Yeah, it's a hard issue, but I try to work around that, and I'll try to explain how I think one can verify what's been installed, even though you cannot verify the hardware itself, and explain a bit the issues there, and that it is not waterproof, but one thing might be better than the other. And I don't know how exactly to present it to the user so they understand where they stand with their product. But yeah, I think starting there and trying to do this is a good thing to do.
Yeah, maybe you could provide, because I know Christoph will do the visualization. Maybe you could provide him with just a quick paragraph of that whole supply chain. Maybe just post it in the GitHub channel, and then maybe he can use that as something to draw that visually make something visual out of that.
Okay.
That might be helpful as well. Yeah.
I think the other exercise from earlier is kind of the minimally savvy user that we want to speak to. Right? The kiddo does not seem to be the main target audience. There's kind of the Bitcoin beginner, who maybe had some funds on what's this one? Yeah, there's someone who's had a funds on an exchange, and because of FTX or whatever, wants to move to self custody. But so they know Bitcoin, they've had some, but they're not familiar with the technical. Like, where is kind of the? I think it would be kind of good to define that minimal experience that we're kind of looking for. And
Yeah.
maybe there's this other persona, that's this influencer that we're looking for, whether that is kind of
Yeah.
the world top influencer or more kind of the local influencer. I personally found from going to meetups that people are very savvy, and they read there are people who just review the Bitcoin core code and participate in all kinds of conversations, and they don't work in Bitcoin. They just hang out at these meetups, and they've been around for years, and they just pay attention, and they're really smart. So I'm sure if they're also happy about resources and whatnot. So maybe
Yeah.
Influencer could also be that type of person.
I can work on defining those two user groups more and maybe figuring out where I can access these people so that we can start speaking to them. So, yeah, cool.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I'll try to do my part.
Oh, you're doing tons of stuff. You're already
Yeah,
running the whole
you're doing a
project,
great job,
basically.
Leo.
So cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. So
Okay.
okay, I'm going to stop the recording
I
now
will
real
stop the
quick.
recording as well.